Four different awards up for grabs here this year for the 2024 Copa America between the Golden Ball, Golden Boot, Golden Glove, and Fair Play Award. Guys, Manny G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us as always. Let's get to it. First award up is the Fair Play Award, which will obviously be given to a team based off their exemplary fair behavior, their sportsmanship throughout the entire tournament. Usually it goes to a team that goes a bit farther in the competition than just someone in the group stage, which we obviously took into consideration. But we didn't want to look at the Gold Cup last year in terms of some statistics because not every single CONCACAF team had some of their big stars in that tournament. So we went back and looked at the World Cup from 2022. Argentina led the way with all the teams that are in this competition with 16, but they did play in more games than anyone else with 7. The United States did pretty good with just 4 yellows through 4 games. Ecuador just 3 yellows in 3 games. Brazil pretty solid with just 6 and 5. And again, Uruguay won this in 2021, the last Copa America edition. But we did look at CONMEBOL qualifying up to this point for 2026, and Argentina is at the bottom currently with just 6 yellows through 6 games. Meanwhile, Ecuador just above them with 10, Venezuela with 12, and Uruguay with 13. It's very tight up in the air. I think Ecuador, Uruguay, Brazil, and the United States are going to be very good potential possibilities. I think Argentina could get in there as well. Just depends on maybe who they might end up playing. But again, typically this award usually goes out to a team who usually has possession of the ball a good portion of their games, because obviously they're not having to foul or maybe look to win the ball back as often or in as many chances as some other teams potentially do. So with that being said, I am going to go with Uruguay. I think that they have a good possibility of doing it once again. I think they could get through the group stage pretty comfortably and not have many issues and potentially win this for a second straight tournament. Now on to the Golden Glove Award, obviously awarded to the best goalkeeper throughout the tournament. Certainly have to at least mention David Ospina and Claudio Bravo, 2 incredibly veteran goalkeepers from South America that have done so much great work for Colombia and Chile over the years. I believe Bravo may have won it beforehand in another tournament prior, but still not 100% sure that they'll win it this time around, but definitely goalkeepers at least worth mentioning in this video. Alexander Dominguez has a great opportunity for Ecuador. I do think that this is a team that can get out of the group stage, so he does have a small shot potentially if they can make a deep run into the knockout stages, but not 100% sure they'll be able to do so, but still at least worth mentioning. For Sergio Rochette, great opportunity. Obviously, Muslera retiring, I believe, with Uruguay's team here recently. Good opportunity, especially considering that I think this group for them, they should at least get potentially 2 clean sheets out of it with Panama and Bolivia if they play well. We'll see what they do against the United States, but a good potential, strong start for him in this competition. We obviously have to mention Ochoa from Mexico. This man turns it on when it comes to major tournaments. He has so many great highlights, and I think he's going to add a few more in this competition as well. Who knows how far Mexico's really going to be able to make it, but obviously, again, another great veteran goalkeeper, certainly worth mentioning. Matt Turner for the United States has obviously had his ups and downs with Nottingham Forest this year, although I do think that he plays his best football when he is in a United States uniform, so I think he'll be ready and up for the challenge. Remember, this was a guy that played in the Gold Cup last year when not a lot of the superstars for the United States were even involved with the team, but he still felt it was important for him to play these minutes for the national side. I think this is a great opportunity for him going forward, especially if this team can make a run in the knockout stages. But when it comes down to the 2 favorites, in my opinion, it's got to be Allison and Emi Martinez. Emi won it in 2021, the last event. Obviously, this guy, we saw what he did in the World Cup, the way he imposes his will, his mental strength, how confident he comes across against opposing players, whether it's through the 90 minutes or obviously in penalty shootouts as well. I definitely think Emi Martinez is certainly the favorite. But then when it comes to Brazil, I do think Allison should get more minutes over Ederson. We'll see if he's even healthy enough. Obviously took a knock against Tottenham here recently. Didn't feel like he should have come out of the game, but he's had some injuries throughout the year. I still think Allison is definitely the main guy for Brazil going forward, and certainly also has a great shot at potentially winning this award. Up for the Golden Ball Award, which is obviously given to the best player throughout the entire tournament. Enter Valencia for me is obviously the main man with Ecuador. He really is able to do a lot of great things up top, but he needs more support. I definitely think Ecuador have a shot at getting out of the group stage, but Enter's going to have to be able to put some goals in the back of the net for them to do so, because I'm not 100% sure how much more help he's going to get. 2 guys who have won some of these awards in the past in 2016. I don't think they'll get it done this time around, especially considering just their age, but Definitely two guys worth at least mentioning with Chile, with Alexis Sanchez and Vargas, who have done phenomenal in this competition over the years. Vargas, I believe, is in the top 10 all time in goals scored in Copa America. And again, definitely two guys who are going to have to be in good form if Chile want a shot at doing anything dangerous. A couple of long shots for the United States, of course, are Gio Reyna and Christian Pulisic. But one thing they're really going to have to keep in mind is obviously the teams they face, especially in the group stage and going forward, are really going to keep their eye on them more so than probably anybody else on this roster. So they're going to have to make sure that they're smart with the ball. They're very creative. They get the ball off their feet when necessary as well, and not put themselves in situations to potentially get hurt and miss some time during this tournament. But again, two guys that are going to be so important for the success of this team. Pulisic's had a really good year with AC Milan. Obviously, Gio coming over from Dortmund to Nottingham Forest hasn't been great, but again, I still think he's one of those players that he finds his footing a lot better when he's in a U.S. uniform instead of with the club. For me, in Colombia, it's got to be Luis Diaz, a player who was tied for the Golden Boot race in 2021 for this tournament. I believe he had 4 goals in that competition. So elusive, so agile, and so light on his feet. And as soon as you think you've got him, you don't, because he's able to find gaps, create space, and take players on in such difficult moments. A really impressive player, and I definitely think another one who could certainly win this award this time around. For Brazil, we're obviously going to have to look out for Vinicius Jr. and see what he's able to do. I think he'll have a great tournament. Rodrigo certainly has a potential for this list as well. And I did have Endrick on here, but I'm not 100% sure how many minutes he's going to get, whether he'll even start in the early going or not. Definitely will get on the field, but we'll see what his contribution is for this team throughout the tournament. 3 different names I'd certainly keep my eye out for with Argentina. Obviously, Messi won this last time around in 2021. I'm not 100% sure he'll be able to duplicate that again, but 2 other names worth mentioning: Lautaro Martinez, who's done phenomenal with Inter, and Julian Alvarez from Man City, who again I think is continuously just underrated. I think this could be a breakout performance for him. He's pretty much won everything at this point. Again, such a great talent, especially right around the top of the 18. Can finish and put it anywhere he wants. Really has a great shot at having a fantastic tournament, and definitely a favorite to win this. Last but certainly not least on this list is Federico Valverde for Uruguay, a guy who's still just 25 years old, vice captain for his country. He's got 6 goals in 56 appearances for Uruguay, and somebody who is phenomenal for Real Madrid in the midfield and how he's able to create chances going forward. He's got 2 phenomenal feet. And again, just somebody that's very important to this Uruguay side, I think, going forward, who is, again, a potential dark horse, even though they really shouldn't be. I think a team and a player that's not talked about enough that could make a lot of noise. My prediction for this award, though, has to be Julian Alvarez. And again, a guy I think that's a bit underrated. He does so much for Man City. He's pretty much won everything in his career at this point, and he's still so young, so he can't be nervous going into this. And again, look at the talent that he has around him. He's going to be in the middle of the park in a lot of different scenarios, in my opinion. Again, whether he's at the top of the box, inside the 18, whether it's assists, goals, he's going to be a part of so many different chances to create for Argentina to score goals. And I think their group stage says a lot about the opportunity to do so with that. So again, I think he could bust onto the scene early in this tournament and then just continue to move forward in great form as things go on. Now on to the last award, the Golden Boot Award, given out for the player who scores the most goals along with assists if necessary for a tiebreaker. We'll start off with some long shots. The United States, obviously Christian Pulisic, I think still gives them the best chance at winning this award out of anyone. They've got a number of different dangerous players, but still I think his name is at the top of that list. For Paulo Guerrero in Peru, a guy who's all-time in the top 10 for most goals in Copa America history. Definitely the player I think that you need to keep your eye out for the most when it comes to this side. We'll see what he's able to do during the group stage if he can get off to a hot start. I did throw Leon Bailey in here for Jamaica. We'll see if he's even involved in the tournament with all the turmoil that they've had between the federation and some of the players, but a guy who's done really well for Aston Villa, in my opinion. He's got 5 goals in 30 appearances for Jamaica so far, and is such a threat from coming in on the right side back into the left with a very dangerous left foot. And again, I know they're probably not going to win it, but considering how much Alexis Sanchez and Vargas have done for Chile and this competition over the years, they're certainly worth noting. I think they can at least put together a few more highlights for this tournament if they're not unable to take away any awards. Now on to some favorites for this award, and I'll start with Enner Valencia, who again is just so influential for Ecuador. He had 33 goals for his club last year. and just does it in so many different ways for the side, whether it's in the air, from the spot, finding pockets of space in between the back line, little holes to exploit in the 18 and around the area. Just so important for Ecuador if they have any shot of making a deep run in the tournament. For Colombia, it's got to be Luis Diaz once again. I think he's just very important and could have a really good tournament for this side. He has 11 goals in 47 matches for Colombia so far in his career. For Darwin Nunez, I think this is a great shot. Again, like we talked about in the last slide, whether it's for the Golden Boot or the Golden Ball, great chance against Bolivia and Panama to start things off. Get on the score sheet several times potentially. Feel really good about your game through 180 minutes going into that U.S. game to end the group stage moving forward. He's got a great possibility at taking an early lead for this category. For Brazil, definitely Vinny Jr. and Rodrigo. I definitely think Vinicius out of the two of them has the best shot at doing it. And with as good as he is on the ball and being able to find pockets of space to be able to exploit and score, his movement off the ball over the last year has been phenomenal as well. So keep an eye out for that, how much he's able to find the ball through his midfield or other players helping him around when it's not just him being creative with his feet to get past someone or find a bit of space. For Argentina, again, the same three players like I mentioned before. Obviously, some other guys you could take into consideration as well, but I definitely think this is one of those positions where if Argentina find themselves getting a lot of different penalties the way they did in the World Cup in 2022, I think Messi's going to still step up and take those. So he very well could still wind up winning this, but like I said in the last slide, I think Julian Alvarez could still win the Golden Ball Award for the best overall player. For this award, though, I'm going to have to take Vinicius Jr. And again, like I just talked about, his ability on the ball with his feet, his creativeness in and around the box, where he's able to score, the pace and the drive that he's able to knock some of these balls in the back of the net with is phenomenal. But how much he has developed off the ball is going to be very important, because I think it's going to be more difficult for players and backlines to keep an eye on him with how much he's able to move, whether it's in behind them or through gaps or finding pockets of space when they're suffocating a team inside their own half. We'll have to wait and see, but again, Vinicius for me, I think. Well, guys, as always, thanks again so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and please let us know down in the comments as well your own predictions for these awards as well. If you want more on Copa America, we've got our group stage predictions up that you can see on the screen now, and go watch that. We've got more on the knockout predictions between that and Euros and other content coming forward. So again, guys, make sure you hop on the train if you haven't already done so. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Peace.